We've been compromised!
In 2004, I was in Dublin, Ireland, making a movie, and one of my creative executives sent me a script over the fax machine. Faxed 120 pages.
Apparently chaos is the order of the day here.
And it was called Starship Dave.
Dave.
Johnny Dazzles.
30 pages into it, I called an executive at the studio and said, we have to buy this.
Fabulous.
We wrote a spec script from Bill's initial kernel of an idea.
And Dave!
I've had some experience watching silly sci-fi movies from a show I used to be on, Mystery Science Theater 3000, and I think I probably just had a junk pile of ideas, you know, rattling around in there.
And having grown up in New York, and a movie that opens up with a body crashing into Liberty Island, a guy getting up, dusting himself off, and he's wearing the suit from Fantasy Island. I mean, it hooks you immediately.
We'll never get there at this rate. Give me full power to the legs.
For me, it had the things I look for in a script. It was very original, it was very funny, and it had heart. So if you have those three things, that's when you have to move. So I moved very quickly.
Good, that is great. Great news, good.
217, take two, marker.
I had done Dr. Dolittle with Eddie, and called him up one day, told him about the script, and he just responded to it from the very first read, said, I'm doing this. It was great. And then we ended up getting Brian, who had done Norbit with him.
We were finishing Norbit, and one day he goes to me, so what are you doing after this? And I said, I don't know, you want to go get some dinner? He's like, not tonight, after the next movie. And I was like, what? He handed me the script, and he told me about it. He described it as sort of his Peter Sellers in being there, the character, which I thought was really interesting. And then I read the script, and I said, well, this is a very unique movie. This is a movie that I really haven't seen before. And I really saw him doing it.
And action!
Oh, the #1 reason to do this movie was to work with Eddie Murphy, 100%. He's, you know, an idol of mine, and he's amazing and funny, and he's a total pro, a great professional.
He's so, like, on it every take. Like, he just brings it, and it's kind of fun and inspiring to bounce off of him. I've also been a ridiculous kind of a nerd fan of Eddie's since I was 8 years old.
I was not aware of Eddie Murphy's work before this film.
Eddie Murphy is one of my idols, huge fan. I forget how many movies he's done and how pervasive those films have been in my life and in my consciousness, and because I'm constantly quoting him, but he's there, so it's kind of weird, so I kind of seem like a little bit of a stalker. I'm like, tell me about life. What was it like working on life? Well, tell me about what Boomerang was like. What's Robin Givens like? So I'm like such a geeky fan, and he's so amazing and so cool, and just an all-around great guy.
He's a method actor.
He's sort of there, and then he's not there.
He's an
I think
alien.
he's in the alien character where it's like he's doing this, he prepared to be there and then not there. So I haven't seen him much.
Once we had Eddie, the casting process was exhaustive. Says what happens sometimes is people go, oh, we got Eddie Murphy. Nobody else has to be funny. It'll be fine. But Eddie will be better with funny people around him, and those people will be funnier because of Eddie. And so the secret, I think, is to combine good actors who are also comedians.
Gabrielle Union I've known for a long time, and director and a pilot a few years ago. Always wanted to work with her in a movie. Quite honestly, she was one of the first people cast besides Eddie.
You know, I kind of get to be, you know, funny and sort of romantic, so it's kind of like the perfect, you know, combination of character traits that I was sort of looking for at the time, and Brian being at the helm kind of made it perfect.
Okay, set.
Okay, set, and action.
You, woman and child, you've wasted enough time with your pathetic emotional distractions. Your undisciplined human frailty causes nothing but chaos. You don't deserve this planet. Oh, and another thing. Your so-called artwork is both pretentious and sophomoric.
Our other Eddie, Ed Helms, is equally as amusing and very, very funny.
How's this? Ed Helms came in and auditioned for us and really blew us away.
Engage blasters!
All of us, when he left the room, we looked at each other and we said, this is our guy. This is number 2.
3, find me the fastest route to the landing site.
He was so funny. I mean, so truly funny. And what he's done in the movie has way surpassed anything I could have imagined.
You've all gone completely mad!
I'm a real fan of his work on The Office, just the way he plays that blustering fool. And I think he's got just the right touch for this.
Yeah, a lot of bluster is what we wanted for that part.
Big on the bluster.
I could do this all day.
Well, Elizabeth Banks was actually one of the last roles cast. We had a lot of trouble figuring out who was going to play that part.
Elizabeth Banks, in addition to being a profoundly talented dramatic actress, is also a great comedian, which we didn't know.
The girl is very funny. One of the funniest actresses I've come across.
I love Elizabeth Banks. I think she's great. I heard, someone told me today that there was a draft where I ended up kissing Elizabeth Banks. Is that true?
He has no idea what he's saying. He does not know.
Elizabeth is just the most down-to-earth person. She helps everybody with their scenes, she helps them with their lines, and she has good ideas that we can use in the scene.
Water. Take a look, take a look. Show him in the water.
Show him
water.
Not
the gun, get the stun gun.
Here, wait, so happy to get this opportunity. And all my friends are really supportive of this and stuff.
It's not funny to do that to kids. Not funny at all. To do that to a little kid who's Starship Davis looking after. I can't help you now, Austin.
The great thing about Austin is that he's a trained dramatic stage actor. He was in Les Mis. He's got a great voice.
The thing I liked about Austin was that he felt like a real kid to me. He didn't feel like what I like to call a show business kid. He just seemed like a real kid with a really pure, innocent face and just sort of a real sweetness about him and a naive quality that I just really liked.
That was bad. You broke the rule. Pile driver. Never hit a man with a stunt gun. Scott Caan here plays Officer Dooley, a very young, enthusiastic, handsome, physically fit officer. However, he's a little bit wide-eyed about aliens and likes to go investigate things that I would like to really just sit down and sleep.
Well, yeah, I guess he's just the opposite of that. He doesn't want to go investigate. He wants to go home to his wife. He doesn't want to try hard and, you know, be a good cop. So I'm kind of like...
Where is I don't want to try hard and be a good cop fit into my... I said I don't believe in aliens.
Well, you didn't write it.
Mike O'Malley and Scott Caan, they've got a routine down. They should take it on the road. They're hilarious in the film. They're funny guys anyway. We're just having a great time. We've been doing riddles today. And Scott got very angry that he could not figure one out.
And now I'm upset about that not being, so I can't really comment about that because I'm a little upset.
Hey, you got a comment?
Huh? No.
Brian's cool. Brian and I have worked together eons ago on like a teen pilot for Fox and just have a great mutual respect for each other, and he's a really cool guy and a great friend, and we've been trying to work together over the years, and this was just sort of like the perfect storm.
Brian's such a nice guy, and it's so great to get to work with him.
Brian is fun, and he really brings a really calm demeanor to the set and just gets things done.
Brian called me and said, do this movie, and I said yes without reading it. So I would do anything for Brian. I literally.
He's incredibly open-minded and generous-spirited guy. He really just creates an attitude on the set where everybody is relaxed and in a great mood and, you know, not stomping their feet and throwing things. And I've tried to get him to throw a temper tantrum. I lit his hair on fire what day was that when I lit his hair on fire? Kicked it, and then I got some,
I read it finally. I don't want you to think I didn't.
Some kidney punches, like one.
But I said I'd do it without.
Whenever
Go ahead, sorry.
No, whenever Brian will give me like a note.
I was just thinking that I was you know,
whenever he gives me a
implying
note,
that
I punch
wasn't-
him in the kidneys, just like, are you
hadn't read it,
serious?
so
You
that I
want to
wanted
play
to
it
make
that
clear
way?
that-
And
that I
Brian
had
just like
eventually.
giggles, just laughs.
This is a workspace home combo thing.
Gina's an artist, and her paintings are very emotional in a way, and that's the sort of first hint of changing people in the movie and changing characters when they sort of notice her art, and she talks about emotion and love and how things make you feel, and these are people that don't talk in those terms.
Sir, we have arrived at the school. Apologies, sir. Apparently, we are on West 44th Street.
When they come here without emotion. They come from the planet Nil, and as Nil represents nothing, they have no emotions. They're very Vulcan in that way.
Each one of them had to have a journey towards, you know, a little bit of humanizing along the way. So they had to start with some rigid quality that, you know, gets affected by Earth.
I'm very stern, but I find another side. There's another side of me that starts to come out. And every once in a while, it pops out. Who decorated this place? Stripes are passé. This is salsa, people. Let's make it spicy.
Well, if you're going to make a movie in New York, having grown up in New York, you got to come to New York. You can't cheat that, you know? And we're just blessed to be able to shoot here at Liberty Island. We're the first movie that actually got the chance to shoot since 9/11 on Liberty Island. And so we're really pleased that the city allowed us to do that.
Well, obviously, it's a very well-protected monument here in New York, so there's super high security, and it's an island, so just getting on and off of the island is tough. Getting all the gear on and off the island has been tough. But I got to tell you, the people here have been fantastic and have treated us really well, and it made it really easy for us to do our job.
We spent about a week on Liberty Island shooting the bits and pieces of the arrival and the final takeoff. And it was really amazing to be out at this icon of American history and working in its shadow, literally, during the day and glance up and just see that beautiful statue overhead. It was really kind of a nice part of the experience.
It's really cool to be shooting here. It's probably the most impressive national monument we have at this time. And it's great to be in New York and be sort of working a symbol in New York. And the great metaphor is that she's a giant statue with little people inside of her. And of course, Dave is a ship with little people inside of him. So it totally makes sense. I actually think that the writers probably didn't even know that they were writing that. And yet, it worked out.
I'm feeling a little busted.
Camera set. And dancing. Action.
Well, there's a tremendous amount of work here with green screens and visual effects and a lot of computer technology wrapped into practical locations and making it all look like it blends together. It's a balance.
There are a couple scenes in the movie where we meet the loading dock crew, which is headed by Kevin Hart, number 17.
This is where a lot of things happen to me in this movie. I'm agent number 17. I deal with all the technical support. So right now we're getting drowned by a mojito. We're a little drunk and having a good time. So it's me catching you up to speed.
Kevin Hart, so funny. I mean, I've loved Kevin's stand-up. I've watched him on TV.
You also notice how not too many people can pull a wetsuit off. You notice my sexy level is still very high. We good? Kind of. Good.
He was great. He was hilarious and a great sport because we had him in the water, in the cold, you know, in the mouth, and he was a real trooper.
Being a miniature guy, of course, all hung up on the way the water was going to look in scale. And Brian, being a comic director, didn't care about that a bit. So, and he was much more interested in his loading dock crew getting splashed around by water. To get that interaction of the water with the characters, we built this giant mouth set. And so Clay's crew built this giant set.
And action! Strutting, and spraying, walking up the tongue.
And then built this giant dump tank up on a giant tower to run the water down a chute and into the mouth to overwhelm the characters in the mouth.
Red light! Water! Cut!
It all worked pretty well.
Look how they treat us on set. Is that good? Let's keep an eye on him. Watch how they do.
All right, here we go. And background. And 3, 2, 1.
I really liked the mutiny in the police precinct station and the development of the finger gun. Brian had this idea that he wanted this tiny little fingertip to open up and have this tiny little ray come out and be overwhelmingly powerful.
It's a prosthetic piece that goes over his hand that had that where we see the flesh slide back, and under it is sort of like a ray gun that fires explosives out of his finger.
And so I was thinking like the comedy, energy beams. I'm thinking Ghostbusters, you know, this crazy sort of almost out of control beams. And Brian said, no, that's not it at all. And every time it got bigger, Brian liked it more. So after that, I thought, well, why don't we make this look like a giant, like 50 caliber machine gun firing, only make it into electrical energy.
Background and action. And he's at the water cooler.
So then Gary Elmendorf rigged all these desks to explode and fly away with wire pulls, and stunt actors in there hiding under the desks, and it was all really nicely done.
And 3, 2, 1, go!
And we found ourselves like putting blast marks on the copier in CG, and little animations, little sweeteners, and it's kind of a fun sequence to put together.
I'm gonna have to call you back.
And we did some pretty big explosions on the back lot of Universal where we blew up some police cars. We blew everything that we possibly could have. There was nothing left.
Oops.
Ready for take 3, the only mark. Okay, set. Set, here we go. And camera. Abrasions, contusions, nothing significant, Captain.
There was one big shot early in the movie that sort of describes what Starship Dave is. So the camera zips from the bridge out through his nose, and then it zips back inside him, and we take the audience on a journey through the ship. And we arrive at different parts of the ship, which are represented as sets, like a shoulder passageway, shoulder joints with controllers for each arm. Clay Griffiths built a number of sets, including the bridge, the shoulder passageway, the medical bay, one arm module which was redressed for either side.
Ready, and action. I can't hold the turn! We're drifting! Ah!
It's a gyroscopic sort of floating device. That one is the ball joint of the shoulder. Brian Robbins and I talked about, you know, like a ball gunner's turret. You know, they're in there, they can't see anything, and they're moving around with the arm, and it was just sort of something that we wanted to do.
CIS Hollywood did all that work. It started out as a storyboard from Brian, and then a series of sketches of each of the environments by Mike Chaffee, following the original design concept work from Clay and his art department. And then CIS Hollywood did a previs of this whole event, and quickly took that previs forward into finished texture maps. CIS Hollywood did a remarkable job sewing that all together, all these little bits and pieces we gave them into something, and then polishing it into something that's really kind of nice.
Captain, we had a small gas leak. It was silent, but not deadly.
Parker.
It continues to amaze me that such enormous bodies can house such minuscule minds.
The original script called for the last shot in the movie to be of Ed Helms as number 2, having been left behind on Earth. And we see a close-up of him jogging, keeping himself in shape, fit, ready to go back in action. He's having a running dialogue with somebody off screen that we don't see. And the camera gradually widens out as he's talking about this conspiracy to escape and take over the world. And the shot just widens out to see he's in a research lab with all these other freak little oddities.
The question, my hairy friend, is are you with me or against me?
We shot Ed Helms on a treadmill, and then very rough matching shot with a periscope lens of a rat on a wheel.
That was good? That was good. All right.
And CIS Hollywood was maybe 90% of the way through sewing those two shots together when the shot was cut from the film.
I understand your apprehension. Change is always a little distressing.
So you might see it on the outtakes.
Any other thoughts or comments, suggestions? Good.
Set, here we go, and background, and action. We'll never get there at this rate. Give me full power to the legs.
We're standing in the lower middle vertebrae of the starship, which is basically a starship in the shape of a human body. Even to draw it was difficult. We had 4 or 5 different illustrators. We had people on computers. So we couldn't draw the actual skull. We were drawing the inside of the skull. And then we got to the point where, oh, what is that going to be? And we looked at opera houses, you know, to see how they fit people into a round shape that was like that. And it all worked out. The bridge is 30 feet high, 30 feet wide, and 30 feet long. It's basically an egg on the inside, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, I don't think I'll ever get to do this again.
You people out there in DVD land, buy your DVDs, and then maybe we will see a sequel. Starship Chad.
Where it's really about us.
Dooley and Knox go to the land where Starship Dave lives.
And that's a big special effects.
Big special effect thing.
$200 million
So
movie.
they're going to do that as a DVD extra. You guys probably, if you go on the menu, click on preliminary previews for sequel. We're going to shoot a whole thing when this is done. Just of us. It's me, Scott, Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow. Who else is in it with us? Jessica Alba, Jessica Biel, Winona Ryder, Bijou Phillips.
That's a good one.
Giselle Bundchen. How do you say her name? Giselle. Any model named Giselle. All with us on a spaceship.